This is the Power of Osmosis podcast, powered by the Vidwheel Creator Network. Hi, everyone. I'm John Osberg. This is the Power of Osmosis video podcast, powered by the Vidwheel Creator Network. I'm joined today by my all-time friend and mentor, Kevin Schmidle of KeyBank and many other community organizations. As mentioned, a huge mentor and friend of mine. This has been a long time in the making. So many cool things we're going to unpack. So welcome, Kev, to the show.
Thanks, John. Love being here. Glad to be here.
Just another conversation, right, that we're recording. And, we were just talking in prep for this about how we'll talk a couple of topics, and it'll quickly evolve into 30, 40, 50 minutes because there's a lot of energy here, a lot of synergy, and so many mutual interests, passions, even skills, if you will, that I'm excited to explore a bit, things like community and mentorship. And being passionate, as mentioned. So maybe a quick, not even quick, sorry, I say this on every show, an intro so that our listeners and watchers know who we are talking to here, Mr.
Sure,
Kevin.
No, thanks, John. Yeah, so my name's Kevin Schmidle. I'm a business banking relationship manager at KeyBank. So my job entails helping businesses with their capital needs, whether it's financing a new project or an acquisition, and then really being the quarterback with the relationship, whether it's an existing client or a prospect, to kind of unveil the whole KeyBank offering to them. So anything from a personal mortgage to fraud prevention, credit card processing, foreign currency exchange, sweep accounts, anything that helps their business, and being the main focal point of that relationship for an existing client or prospect. But no pun intended, the key word is helping people. I don't sell things to people in my role. And I honestly, the word sales, I really don't like that word. I think sales is just solving a problem to me. So what I do is I help businesses, and they look to me for solutions. And it could be as simple as, hey, I'm having trouble logging onto my account, or I need a new password, or we're looking at a $5 million line of credit that we need to help support a bid. So, that's my day-to-day world. I'm active in the community. I volunteer for the American Cancer Society. I'm a Road to Recovery volunteer driver. And although that's on hold due to COVID, actually in the interim, then I picked up, I work at City Mission as a volunteer where I host game nights. And I'll get into that a little later. That's actually a lot of fun hosting bingo. I'm the caller. And they're both very satisfying. Actually, all three are very satisfying portions of my life. And it really dovetails into how you and I met and where we've been and where we're all going. I don't know if this is a long intro, by the way. I don't know if you want me to keep going. The funny thing is, you and I met, we've talked about this after a Sabres game in October of 19. And we instantly hit it off, as you like to say, fast friends.
That's right.
I've heard the phrase recently. I read, I'm a lover of friendship. So we really hit it off well. And the one thing that I think jumped out to both of us was that, we said, I'm in business, you're in business, let's follow up for a lunch. But we talked about life and passions and what drives us. It wasn't about product and selling this and, this insurance product, this banking product, this retirement option. You and I went to lunch, and the conversation flowed naturally because I think we both realized, I've always thought, there's two kinds of people in the world, those that lift you up and those that bring you down. And you and I instantly lifted each other up. So we went to lunch, and, as part of that, and literally up to today, what you and I, how we both live is that we've never come to each other and said, hey, where do you want to improve your life? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to be better at math? Do you want to, whatever? I told you earlier, my one addiction to Doritos, I stopped eating Doritos.
Yep.
We didn't focus on the negatives. You and I just said, how can we help each other? And then how can we help continue what we're doing in the community to help others? So I think that, like likes like, or however that phrase goes, the law of attraction. So as part of that, we were talking, you called me one day after lunch. We had a fantastic lunch, and it was all about life and helping others. And we were both very passionate. And I remember you called me a couple days later, and I saw your phone. So I just answered the phone. I said, osmosis. And you started laughing, and you paused for a second. And you were like, oh my God. And then I think you said something about, wow, osmosis, there's something there. And it kind of steamrolled from there into, actually now I have it on my phone under your profile picture since then, is the definition of osmosis. So this is a really long-winded intro, by the way. But, we talked about your path in life and how I can help you. And again, it was never brought up like, hey, here's an area I need to improve on. And same with me. It was, we don't focus on the negatives. Everybody can look at the past and talk about, hey, here's something I'd like to improve on. It was just, how can we move forward? How can we help each other? So Osmosis was born, I don't know, December of 19 roughly. And then from there it was, all right, John, I see something in you that's very passionate, and I'm not backing off until you pursue this. And then Osmosis Consulting started.
Yeah.
Right?
It was the beginnings of it. And I gotta, the audience is gonna laugh at this. This is the era we live in. I was having some echoing, so I thought I could just click my external speaker here off and come back to you immediately. So there was about 20 seconds where I was faking, I couldn't hear you. So I apologize. And if I missed anything important, now I'm also hoping I didn't totally, not have any recorded sound during that 20 or 30 seconds. So if there is, then that'll be a laugh for the audience.
Whatever, we'll go back to it.
Have to reshoot maybe, but we're gonna.
No, I don't want to. I love warts and all.
Well, yeah, we're gonna keep forging on, and so what I did pick up in that, the last 20 seconds there of where I've been able to hear you again now, and while we're here, I'm not echoing, or you're not echoing, right?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Well, again, thanks in advance to our listeners and watchers, but yeah, it was, you planted the seed. And like I said, I might've missed some important things, so forgive me, but it was in those texts of nicknames back and forth. And again, I don't know if you unpacked that or not, because 20 seconds of zero sound, but back and forth. I call you 007 because you look like Pierce Brosnan, James Bond, for our Bond fans out there, or Bond buffs. And, you would call me these nicknames. That's just like, you mentioned,
that's right.
Very similar, right? And
Osmosis, Ozzy.
Yeah, you called me Osmosis.
Ozzy,
standard.
Wizard of Oz.
That's right. And so, but it was standard spelling, right? So It was OSMOSIS, scientific, colloquial, whatever definitions you want, that's bringing together of things, particles, people. And so I would call you name, and I still to this day, you're in my phone as Kevin Schmidle 007, because it's so true. Even in my intros that I make to you. So anyway, it's just funny to see how that all played out. But yeah, key in on the mutual passions and the uplift that we bring to one another. I mean, when we're in a room, when we're on calls, I mean, the energy it's basically combustible. So I'm excited. We've got some things coming up this week too, socially distanced, of course, but so that's how it was. So we're unpacking that early, which I love because I'm wearing the shirt on purpose. Haven't worn it on one of my shows in a while. And it all clicked to me. It honestly was probably months later, Kev, that it clicked to me that, wait a minute, this could be the name of this consulting business that I've been conjuring up, dreaming up, thinking about. And it was because of you calling me that. And then it clicked to do, over here, wrong way, over here, just replace it with the Z, right? My nickname as a kid, and even now, Oz, Wizard of Oz, Ozzy. And so that was it, man. So my gratitude to you for that. And it's crazy to see 6 months later after starting this thing, we're chugging along, and I'm living the dream, man. And you're a huge part of that. So gratitude.
Well, and part of that is, and I've told you this, your passion, or one of the things I see in your passion is how to help people. And I said to you at one point, who's going to help you? So when you're having a bad day, I've given you advice on setting up your business and bank accounts or whatever.
Hook me up with KeyBank. Shout out to Ellen Violanti and so many other incredible people that are part of that team. And yeah, huge shout out there, big time.
Yeah. And you know, more than that, it was also, how can I help you? Because I don't even know what your struggles are. I don't need to know, but I know that you have struggles like everybody does, whether it's, you know, a cell phone bill or who knows, but I'm here to help you. I've always had kind of a servant leadership, I guess, mentality.
100%.
And that not just in personal life, but in business. You know, I said it at the beginning when I was talking about KeyBank, you know, I help businesses, whether it's a capital need or, you know, a credit card. Well, it's all about helping. So I don't like to sell anything. So I've always had kind of a servant leadership mentality, and I like to read and research things in relation to that. So with your path, you know, I've never asked for anything from you, and I never will. I want to drive you. I want to push you to keep you at that level. I mean, you have a bad day, which you're going to, and I know you had. You know, someone like me is going to be here to say, "Hey, you're having a bad day. You're not having a bad life." So, just something.
Bad times, not bad days. That's a Tony Robbins shout.
Yeah, yeah.
Can have a bad time, but don't make it a bad day. And sure, there are going to be times where you succumb to it and it's overwhelming. Could be whatever, hypothetically, but that's a great mindset, I think, for our listeners and watchers, to pull away. One of the tidbits here now, as we unpack some of the themes, is bad times, not bad days. And you know, we're going through our own unique struggles. We're on our own unique paths, and it's important to, back to the theme of mentorship, Kev, that a gentleman like you, a resource like you, is there to support me. And yeah, of course, you'll never ask me for anything, and I'll never ask you for anything, but we have these impetuses to help one another, because that's how we're wired. Like you said, passionate, give first mentality people. And that's why we're jiving every single day, whether it's a text, call, email, you know, this stuff in person, whatever. So, you know, did I ever think we'd get to this point in October 2019 after what I was going through and whatever? And I don't know if I did, but you know, again, that's
you're on your way, and you're there. You know, it's like we talked about yesterday. I think you were in one of our texts. We exchanged the Kobe Bryant image about, you know, the dream is not, I forget the phrase, but it's not the finale. It's all the grind that leads up to it. You know, that's the dream.
It's not the destination. It's the journey. So I as I showed you, that's one of my favorite quotes. So again, kindred spirits there.
This is the journey.
Yeah. I made that my background. I showed you. I got the text. It was with our brother, Nicky Martone, our good pal, a newly minted friend of yours that you talk about fast friends, man. You guys have become fast friends, which is so exciting to see, because I feel like Nick's mentioned in every podcast I do or thing I talk about. So hard not to.
That's a great point though, because, and this is good for everybody to understand. So you and I are part of a new non-for-profit involving Nick and veterans, and you'll hear more of this. I know you'll talk about it coming out, but
yeah, so will you.
You and I both jumped in kind of both feet, because it's the right thing to do for the right reason. I was just thinking about this earlier. The interesting thing is that you and I have no military background.
I know.
But I can't understand or appreciate what vets go through. I'm thankful for what they've done.
Me too.
So what can I do and what can you do to help them? Well, we can do what we do. Help them in creating something that's going to help them in their daily lives. And, you know, that's whether you call it servant leadership or whatnot, it's how can I help lift others up that need it? You know, when I volunteered, I started recently at the City Mission, and part of it was the fact that my other one is on hold due to COVID. And I remember thinking, I saw something online about, people are struggling due to COVID and the pandemic this and the pandemic that. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, what are people that are struggling regardless of the pandemic? Are they being overlooked? And that was kind of what led to me thinking, wow, there's a whole segment of people there that really, you know, not that we can't forget about them, but, you know, we honestly can't forget about them.
Agreed.
So our conversations always start here and go there. So
there's things that are, you know, that are foundational, that are woven into any of the chats we have. And again, it's like anytime we're talking, to bring that back, even it's passion-based, it's volunteerism, give first type stuff, community projects. You know, how do we uplift, whether it's a person, a brand, an organization, a community, you know, initiative, whatever. And that's why we, again, are kindred spirits. So, you know, I love the fact that we see eye to eye on everything. I don't think there's anything we don't. And One thing that I don't think you unpacked a lot of, and, high level you did, but I love, I'm thinking in advance that this is going to be titled kind of unveiling or spotlighting the Renaissance man, that in my opinion, that you are. So, I'd love for the audience to hear more about, what you do outside of work. Yeah, you do the community works, and that's incredible. Oh my gosh. But, I love to hear, there's a reason too I call you 007. It's not just your looks, you're like an international man of mystery. So maybe just a couple highlights on some of the things you love and that you're, that you enjoy.
Yeah. It's we've talked about this a little bit, there's so many distractions in life, whether it's Netflix or the iPad and music or whatever. I kind of pushed myself roughly a year and a half ago to take on a new initiative, which was learning how to paint. So something completely outside of my norm. I wanted to do a painting for a family member. I've done 3 now, and I'm working on the 4th in my mind. But part of it was, what can I do that's way outside the box for me, out to see if I can do it, and then also as a way to relax, not spend so much time on our dumb phones. So I met a painter once, and I went around trying to find him again. I didn't even know his name. I knew what building he worked in, so I walked this whole building, 7 floors of it, finally figured it out, and I said, "Hey, I want to do this painting. Could you help me out? But I don't want to pay you to do it. I want to see if I can do this myself." So I kind of laid out the concept, and he's like, "Yeah, you could do this. We could do it in my studio, and I'll guide you through it." And he's like, "What's the last thing you painted?" And I said, "Well, my deck, maybe an old guitar." But I said, I have some drawing capabilities, so I think I can do it. So the first one took about 3.5 months, and it turned out I thought it was great. I've done 2 more for each member of my family, and it was a way. It was twofold. It was a way to push myself into accomplishing something I never even thought I could do. And then it was also, I found it incredibly relaxing. So everybody has different ways to relax, whether it's yoga, going to the gym, reading a book,
right,
getting drunk, who knows? But I said, I want to do something completely, like if you looked at me and said, "You paint," that it just wouldn't be in the same sentence. So that's one of the things. I have 2 lifelong goals actually that are still works in progress. Aside from that, which is I've always wanted to learn how to play the guitar. I know how to build them. I don't really know how to play them. I want to learn how to fluently speak a foreign language. And ironically, I just read this recently. That's one of Bill Gates's life goals, is he's never learned a foreign language. So
it's interesting.
Aside from being a multi-billionaire, we have that in common.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, no, and I love that. You love cars too. You love sports.
Yeah. I have a lot of interests, and they kind of move around a little bit. Some gets attention at this point in my life. Some gets attention now. Right now the painting is really is kind of taking precedent because it's a very rewarding process, and I enjoy every aspect of it. I have a lot of other interests, and but I try to part of what you and I are doing as far as building your company and your brand and everything about our day-to-day lives. One of the words we use is focus. So
100%.
There's so many distractions in this world. You walk outside and you're bombarded with advertisements and your phone and this and that, and you can lose focus quickly. Or just, everybody needs a distraction every now and then. So
it's working that clarity thing, right, Kev? Chasing.
Yeah,
clarity.
Exactly. You talk about clarity all the time.
Yeah.
The more focus you have on a limited amount of things, it makes it easier, and the distractions are always going to be there. So
true. That's a good.
I focus on 5 things in my life: my friends, my family, my job, my health, and did I say family? I don't know. There's 5 things. Family twice.
Yeah, there you go. It's like in the dodgeball movie when he's like the 5 D's of dodgeball: dodge, dive, duck, dodge, and dive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like something like that. But the one thing that, again, the goal here too, right? It's flavors of community, flavors of mentorship, flavors of passion. giving back, giving first to it. And then just the diversity of which, you bring to the table in terms of your skills, your experiences, your background. It's just fascinating, right? Like the whole goal of the Osmosis theme brand essence is to, either cast wider or create or cast wider spotlights on companies, businesses, and people that are doing great things. So you fit that person, that last thing, the people well. What about, let's talk, we talk sports a little, but, why don't you tell the audience too, what else you do alongside your daughter on Sundays?
Oh yeah. So I forgot about that actually.
Yeah.
So Sarah is a professional photographer. She's 24. She works for Pagula Sports and Entertainment. So she's a photographer for the Bills and the Sabres and any other entities. So for 3 years now, I've worked alongside her and her boss, Bill Whippert, on the field. Although this past year we weren't on the field much, as kind of her assistant, running cards and carrying lenses and all that. So I'm a Bills employee on game days, and it's I said this to you before, John. I've been 29. You've never been 53. So to go back to my 29-year-old days when I would go to the stadium and drink beer and have fun and all that. And now 53, I'm going to the stadium with our daughter, and we leave it's basically the same time. We leave at 9 a.m, get home at 5 p.m. But it's unbelievable how it's worked out, where I have this bonding experience of supporting her in her career in the most unique setting imaginable. I mean, I took a picture, I posted it online of, it was a random one right before the last home playoff game. Stefan Diggs is throwing her the ball. She's on the side playing catch. And, for me everybody's like, oh, she's so lucky. That's really cool. For me, it was unbelievably cool to capture that moment. So, that's a pretty unique thing. And, I'm very blessed that I'm blessed with both my kids and my family, but I'm very blessed that opportunity has arisen.
I mean, and you so eloquently kind of spotlighted or wove that kind of narrative on how that all has come about and how it's happening, even currently. And that moment, those moments, not that moment, but the moments that you're building that you're further forging that, father-daughter relationship. And again, family's another undertone here, another theme. Right. Congruent community and these other things we're talking about. And it really is. And again, in my opinion, right, I think you mentioned earlier, the law of attraction and universal energy, and you put good out, it comes back. And there's things that are just unexplainable that happen.
It's osmosis.
Life. Yeah, dude, it's the power of osmosis. Let's go. And it really is, it's sincere. I mean, there might be some folks that listen to this or watch this and might kind of laugh that off or whatever. And I'm sure there's others though, that if they're watching this, listening to this, they know the brand, they know the essence. So they're probably right in line with it. But the point is, until you really start living that purpose-driven, mission-driven life, right? It's not the man or the woman, it's the mission. We talked about that yesterday with Nicky Martone, right? Because he's leading great up, these great foundations. And a lot of times the spotlight's on him, and I can tell he doesn't like that as much. He's very humble, likes to deflect. And I said, listen, man, you're part of the story. You're part of the narrative. And don't worry. We all know it's not about the man, in this case, Nick, it's about the mission, which is to help veterans transition more seamlessly when they come back from being deployed. So all that to say is that, you are someone that is the perfect embodiment of a human that lives every single day with purpose and is intentional, but also you have activated the law of attraction by doing that. And so these things come into your life that, like you said, when you're 29, did you ever think you'd be doing this? Like, no, but you have an open mind, your growth mindset, right? Yeah. And there's my golf clubs. I forgot I had those back there. PJ Hope bag. Let's go. Helping our Patriots everywhere. Not using those anytime soon, or not anytime recent, I should say. But I'm jumping around. The point is,
no. But it's
well done.
To your point, John, and you're the exact same way.
As we both slam water at the same time.
Yeah.
More water, more breathing, more movement. Let's go. Anyway.
You're the exact same way I am. When I was signing up to volunteer for the city mission, they had said, we'd love to have you volunteer. We have a store that On Saturdays, if you want to help unload donations from the truck, that'd be great. We could use that. And I was like, I really like working with people and how I can help them. Is there anything else? And they said, well, yeah, we could use help on game nights as a volunteer for our women's shelter, Cornerstone Manor. And I was like, that's it. That's much more fulfilling to me. And I'm not doing this. And I tell this to anybody that I volunteer for. I'm not doing this. They always ask, is this a KeyBank initiative? And I say, no. KeyBank does plenty on their own. This is just for me. And I'm not doing this for community hours or my resume or what. I just want to help people. So the city mission aspect was, it was interesting how that played out because, they didn't offer that at first. I had to do a little probing and say, listen, this is where my strengths are a little more utilized or would be a little more utilized. So for what it's worth.
And I'm getting echo there. I don't know why, but whatever. It's a Zoom. We got an easygoing audience. But
my internet's frozen.
It's all good. We're good. No, but adding to that, Kev, you've been spotlighted, by the American Cancer Society. If I'm remembering correctly, I know it's certainly by KeyBank, and even now with City Mission, the great work you're doing. And so again, bringing that theme out, you really are embodying that. You're embodying that give first mentality, that service. And you said you guess or you kind. And I know you're being humble, or maybe it's just words on the pod here, but you are the very definition of servant leadership. And so servant leaders, in a time right now where we're going through COVID still, we're going through economic crisis, we're going through whatever up here in the north, it's tough weather, et cetera. This is where when you another tip for another Tony Robbins tip, right? And I'll let you expand on this, but when you're suffering, it's usually because you're focused on you. And there's other times, right? There's things that are happening that could be in your family, but even still, like you might say it's your dad and you're worrying about your dad or whatever, it's you that's still worrying about your dad. So right. Tony Robbins says the way that you can start to mitigate and even vanquish suffering is by service to others.
Right.
So, and it's the Buddha quote, perfect segue, the Buddha quote you sent me, which you can share with the audience, but just on that topic of how do we help our suffering? Because there's a lot of suffering in the world right now. It's by helping others, giving others. So that Buddha quote would be really fitting here too.
Yeah, that was quoted. I found that recently. It was basically, and I'm not big into all those principles, but they all make a lot of sense. It was when you light a lamp for somebody else, it also brightens your path, and it's so true. And I've been guilty of this, and everybody gets sucked into it. How many times in your life have you said, "Oh God, I don't have any time"? Well, you have time is our most valuable commodity. But then when you look at it, it's like, well, did I just commit 55 hours to watching Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, whatever it is, how about putting your phone down for an hour a week and doing something? Or if you can't do, if you can't write a check, to City Mission or whoever it is, volunteer an hour a week at a food bank, at whatever your passion is, a veterans fund, you'll find it's incredibly more rewarding than you ever imagined. Let's put it that way. I can't compare it to say it's, more rewarding than, a big deal at work or completing whatever an assignment. But the value you get out of it, the value I get out of it is, wow, I just had a great night at the City Mission, or I just had a great ride with a cancer patient. I can't wait for another one. Although I will say the American Cancer Society Road to Recovery is interesting, because I think the whole point of the program is helping people to get rides to and from chemo. So in a perfect world, that job wouldn't exist. So that's a side note,
One day, right, with faith, the research that's being done, the monies that are
right.
being fundraised, and you're part of that. So, tying this all together, right there too, you had just maybe a minute ago, there was definitely undertones of gratitude. So, the spice of life, whatever you want to call it, the truest essence of how to live a good life, in my opinion, right? And I think a lot of others is to practice gratitude. So
yeah.
That's a mention just to throw out there. But, I want, again, I keep saying this on my podcast, you're not supposed to ask 2-part questions, but it's easy. So there's 2 pathways to the finish here. The first one is love to hear from you, just a last 1 or 2 recommendations to people that are looking to get more involved, that are looking to maybe find that purpose, find that mission, just a tip to activate some of that, right? Because basically, how do we become 007 Kevin Schmidle? And I know you're a humble man, but and then how do we find you? So the first one is the first question there.
As far as finding what interests you, only you can answer that. I started the American Cancer Society volunteering. My father-in-law died 22 years ago, 23 years ago from cancer. And cancer has affected everybody. Knock on wood, I don't have it and you don't. So I was thinking, boy, there's an organization. There's always somebody looking for help. And it's a horrible, horrible disease. So I just kind of picked that one out and I instantly, everybody knows of it. So it kind of lit a fire in me. It said, this is where I'm directing my volunteering energy. But then the city mission was also, it kind of just goes back towards how can I help somebody that needs a pick-me-up, and it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you had a horrible upbringing. Maybe your life is good and you can't make your Lexus payment. And, I need to help pick you out. Figure out your own way of servant leadership. Maybe it is writing checks, SPCA, who knows what it is, but that's up to you to define whatever brings you that gratitude, or not that gratitude, that fulfillment. And there's nobody there that's going to check your work to say, hey, I'm really glad you're doing that. You're checking your work on your own. I leave the city mission or a cancer drive or now this veterans football thing. And it's like, man, I feel good, but you know what? I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life and it's not work.
It's not. That's so good. So basically then a pull out of there is think, and I've said this to countless people, friends, clients, family, whoever, strangers, think about what it is. And I think this is a Warren Buffett. So shout out to the Oracle from Omaha. But think about something that or even Tom Bilyeu of Quest Nutrition. I know he said this too. Think about something that you could do for the rest of your life that you would love so much that you didn't have to get paid if money wasn't an object.
Right.
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well put, my brother. And then, thank you for that. And thanks for spending this time with me and all the time we spend together on phone calls and the support you've given to countless clients of mine, friends of mine, everything. I
can't introduce you to enough people. Let's put it that way. And there's a huge list waiting. Let's put it that way.
Too kind. Yeah. And even just this morning, you buzzed me and have more good stuff, good positive movements for different clients. So they're grateful for sure. And on their behalf, I am very grateful. So how do we find you? I know we talked to begin, before this.
Just LinkedIn, can we find you? Or just LinkedIn or Instagram. I mean, I'm not really on Facebook anymore, Twitter, but just my name, Kevin Schmidle at LinkedIn.
We'll have those links in this. So
or Instagram. So
there it is.
It's pretty simple, but if you want it, my cell is the best way. As much as I talk about hating these phones, they drive you crazy because they're so invasive, but that is also the best way.
Yeah. And we'll put out I'll put out your LinkedIn info and maybe a couple other two things here and there. But it sounds like you're basically saying, hey, if you're interested in connecting, send a LinkedIn or send some other social request, media request. And I will vouch for you that you certainly are very open and easy to talk to and very helpful. So community, mentorship, passion, how this came about, and shout out to Steve Colton here for designing this.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mutual friend of ours.
One of the most comfortable shirts I own.
It really is. You crush it. You get the black one, right? There's two colors.
The black one,
Yeah, it's funny. Steve is a client of yours and of mine. It's funny. So how that works, but great humans all together, right? Doing great things. So,
love being on. Thank you very much, John.
Yeah. Love you, brother. And same thing here too. I was just saying, we unpacked all these great things. And, my favorite part, I think, of this was how this all came about, because it's a story I tell decently often, but it really is something.
Yeah. I'll never forget. You had that pause in your voice. You're like, oh my God, osmosis or something like that.
You were probably like, what? You're like, yeah, I called you that. It's a nickname because it's Osmo. You literally shortened it to even Osmo, Osmo, whatever.
Right,
OS. Right. And my last name's Osberg, right? And I just couldn't believe it. And it clicked. Oh, speaking of that, there's LinkedIn getting lit up right now. Oh man. It's a good way to finish the pod. But a big shout out again to a Vidwheel Creator Network for all the support here, video, everything here is possible, looking really sharp because of them. And obviously I mentioned earlier, a couple clients and friends and other humans that we share in common, and gratitude to them and gratitude to all of you for listening. And always feedback is welcome. And again, definitely find Kevin on different social. And, if you're curious to connect with him and you have my contact, then hit me up as well. And I'm happy to bridge the intro to Kevin because he's a special, special human. So my gratitude again, brother, Mr. 007.
Thank you, man. Love you too, bud.
All right, man. And on that note, everyone keep going. It's Johnny Osmosis.
Stay positive.
Out. Yeah. Take care.
Later, dude.